Hey everybody, Cherie here from the 10K Project. Thank you so much for being here with me today. At the 10K Project, we are a community of Black investors who are funding Black businesses for as little as $100. Today we are all about personal finance. So on Wednesdays, at least for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be coming on during lunchtime, sometime between 12:30 and 1 o'clock for like a half hour to talk about some things around Black wealth, personal finance, getting our houses in order, whether our house is, husband and wife or immediate family, or our houses are bigger in terms of our extended family. We're going to be talking about that here at the Black 10K Project. So don't forget that we are still looking for our founding members. So we have about 750 slots left for our founding members. And what this is going to help us do, truly help us do, is be able to launch successfully. If you believe in Black economics, if you believe in the power of what we're doing, we'd love to have you at the 10K Project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the 10K Project is and what we're doing. We're going to have a topic of the day. I do want to say that we are also, on Periscope. We're on LinkedIn. We are on a couple of different Facebook groups and our Facebook page. So if you're seeing this, if you wouldn't mind liking, sharing. Oh, we're also on YouTube as well. So again, like, share, things like that. That is a great help to us here at the 10K Project. I also will say one final thing. I am testing out a system right now, so, uh, just bear with me here, but I think that I'm praying that this system works and that it goes really well for us today. So, what is the 10K Project? What are we doing here? Well, let's talk about it. So the 10K Project is a community of Black investors who are funding Black businesses for as little as $100. And this idea came up for a few different reasons. Number one was I was a business plan writer for a decade. I wrote business plans for a lot of different companies that were out there. Some were founded by other ethnicities, some were founded by our ethnicity, all sorts of industries, great people, great visionaries, and real hustlers too. So it wasn't just, people who were sitting back and waiting for things to happen. These were great entrepreneurs. Well, something interesting happened. I began to notice that people from anytime someone came and asked me for a business plan, I would always ask them, what are you going to use a business plan for? And once we write this business plan, if you're looking for capital, who are you going to pitch it to? The people who already had pre-established networks, whether it was family members, fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, a venture capitalist they knew, somebody else like that, they usually got the capital they were looking for. A lot of our people didn't have those networks. They may have well-meaning family members and friends. However, they didn't have the person in their lives or people in their lives who could stroke those big checks. We also began to see, and we're seeing it now, this reemergence of buy Black. And if we want to buy Black, perhaps we want to invest Black too. Because if 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We can fund our own businesses. We can profit from our own innovation. We can create our own jobs. And we can build a community, a true community of people who want to really put in the work for Black wealth here. So for the past couple of years, I've been saying to this specific group of individuals, I was saying, if 10,000 of us got together, we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We could fund our own companies. I did not want to do this. I didn't want to lead it. I was throwing it out there for somebody else to do it. And finally, one day, someone said, well, Cherie, why don't you do it? And I said I didn't want to do it by myself. So the other four people on the line with me said, you know what, we'll do it with you. And they became my co-founders. And next thing you know, um, here we are. Here we are. We are the 10K Project. So um, you can find us on different social media, whether it is Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. We have a YouTube page. Um, I'm doing this on my personal LinkedIn, but we will be getting a LinkedIn page. We're on Periscope. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere at Black 10K Project. We're asking you to like and share what we're doing. So let's talk a little bit about personal finance here, because one of the things that we want to do within the 10K Project is not just, there are a lot of companies out there, a lot of people out there that have taken advantage in the past. They're like, give me your money no matter what. And I'm not like that. God blesses me immensely. And one of the reasons why I believe I'm blessed is because I really do think about the full person, and my co-founders are the same. In our community, we have a lot of different issues when it comes to wealth building that are separate from other communities. So we wanted to have this opportunity to talk about personal finance. And again, every Wednesday between 12:30 and 1:30, I'm going to come on and do a session about it. So I want to actually share my screen, show you a couple of items, and have a discussion. And if you want to, please tell me your city and state as well. It is showing up here in my little technology system. So tell me your city and state so that I can recognize you. But we're going to get started, and we're going to start with something called the cash flow quadrant. So this was started by Robert Kiyosaki, and Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which, if you have not heard it, I would definitely suggest you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But the second book that he wrote was called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion that follow Robert Kiyosaki, this was his best book ever. I'm bringing this up because all of us are in one or more of these quadrants. So the first quadrant is an employee. That means you have a job. That means you are a W-2. Employees typically are taxed the highest. Taxed the highest. You go in, whether you have a part-time job, you have a full-time job, depending on what state you live in, I've seen a lot of different tax percentages, but there's nothing wrong with being an employee. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You just have to recognize what quadrant you're in at what time of your life and where you want to move to. So next is the S. The S stands for self-employed. And for years, I will admit, I was self-employed. That means you own a job. So a lot of people who are independent contractors, you're an Uber driver, you do accounting, and you don't have like real systems. You're not like a business or a firm. If you're a solopreneur, you're doing baskets or things like that, then you are self-employed. That is the S. An S in terms of taxes is better than an E, but it's not as good as the other two. The other two are the business owner. That's a B. That means you own a system and people work for you. So one of the things we're going to be talking about in our members only section of the 10K Project is some of the disparities with our businesses versus other ethnicities and their businesses and where they are, and how we can work to level the playing field. But before you can work to level the playing field, you've got to know, where you're lacking, what your numbers are versus what their numbers are. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about the numbers out here in the open. So please join our group here, our Facebook group, or our YouTube channel. But within membership, we're going to go deeper with this conversation and talk about why we don't own systems. Part of the issue that we're having in the Black community is our unemployment rate is higher than every other community. We're going to talk about that here as well. Because if we don't own businesses where we own systems and where people work for us, then we're not true business owners. And then the final thing is I. And I, as an investor, it means that the money works for us. And that's one of the things that the 10K project is focused on, is how money can work for us. And within the 10K project, it's very important for us to remember one key thing. And that is, it's imperative for us to have strong portfolios, a strong financial foundation. You've heard it called a financial house. You got to have a strong financial foundation first, before you can, move to other levels of investing and then other levels of investing. So with the 10K project, one of the things that we really, really will push is that you are cautious and careful with the amount of risk that you are taking. And we can't tell you what to invest in. That is not our place. However, we want you to think of your financial house as exactly that. You've got the foundation, you've got the basement, the first floor, the second floor, etc. And you also want to think about the fact, there's one of the things that, we say all the time, the rich get richer, right? Part of the reason the rich gets richer is because they have a lot of businesses and a lot of investments. So I'm not like the super duper tax professional. We'll probably have someone on to come and give overviews. However, I can tell you one thing. People who live in the business quadrant and the investor quadrant pay less in taxes. That's part of the reason the rich get richer. The rich also get richer because we just saw it happen with COVID-19, and you had a whole bunch of businesses going to Capitol Hill to get money. They have access. The rich has access. So we want to also think about individually within our families and collectively how we can move from not just being employees and being self-employed, but move to being true business owners where we own a system, true business owners where people work for us, and true investors where our money is working for us. That's going to be one of the key pieces of the 10K project. So within the 10K project, some of the money that's going to be working for you, some of the money, all of the money that you're going to be investing are going to be invested into Black businesses. You want to think about the person and what kind of business they are presenting to you. What kind of systems will that business have? Who is going to be working in that business? So that's going to be very important as well. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today is an old book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And it was written a long, long time ago. If you read it today, which I do suggest, it is actually an easy read, but if you've ever been in the church and there's like the King James version of the Bible, you will read it in that style. There's a lot of old style type of script or writing to it. However, what I've done is I've modernized it for us. So what I want to be able to do is show you the 7 simple rules of money based on The Richest Man in Babylon. And I do suggest you get it. These rules are, I went to an article and they had some of today's lingo for this. So I just want to let you know that. Number 1 is save money. Save money. It's important what we watch and what we pay attention to. It grows exponentially. So if we're only listening to the news and we're only feeding ourselves with that negativity, then, that's all we're going to get. And all of that anxiety is going to grow. If we're paying attention to our money and we're paying attention to our families, our relationships, our churches, etc., that's going to grow as well. So one of the things we want to think about is just saving money, thinking about money, creating a budget, Number 2, controlling expenses. Controlling expenses is so important. One of the things I talked about last week was this thing I used to do called the envelope method, which was every 2 weeks I would, within my own business, I would put a certain amount of cash into an envelope. And the reason I started doing that was because I didn't have any savings and I had so much anxiety with money because I was living literally from check to check with the clients that were coming in, and it's exhausting. So with the expenses, one of the things I did was the envelope method for me, where every other week, I would give myself a certain amount of cash, and that cash would be used for my hair, my nails, grocery shopping, gas, anything like that I could spend cash on. And you know what happened? I ended up during that period of time saving $10,000 over the course of a few months. And I had more cash than I ever could have imagined. I did this a while ago, but it's one of the best things you can do is to think about controlling your expenses. Number 3 is investing wisely. That's some of the things we're going to be talking about here at the 10K Project, is thinking about your life as a portfolio. Your financial house is a portfolio. And how do you invest wisely? Number 4, avoid investments that sound too good to be true. This is funny for me as well, because a lot of times we within the community will see something that sounds super great and, we can get a 8,000% return in 30 days. The richest man in Babylon avoids investments that sound too good to be true. That's why one of the things we tell you, if you are participating in the 10K Project and you're participating in our businesses, you need to expect that you won't get your money back for 7 to 10 years, if ever. These are risky investments that we're doing. Number 5, own your own home. Own your own home is very important. I will say, as a homeowner, you get greater access to credit and better credit score and just various perks. There's also tax credits that you get from owning your own home as well. Number 6, ensure future income. So they talked about life insurance, etc., in the article that I read about this. But you want to think about that. You want to think about, is your financial house in order? Do you need life insurance, disability insurance, etc.? And then number 7 is increase your ability to earn through knowledge and wisdom. You got to earn more income. For many of us, we can only reduce our expenses so much. And then we got to focus on getting more income through the door. Because if we don't focus on not only keeping our expenses stable, but getting more income through the door, then we're always going to be on this perpetual wheel. And getting more income through the door doesn't necessarily just mean getting a better job, even though for some of us, I do suggest you maybe get a certification. Think about your career. A lot of times people who get an increase in their income, it's because they switch jobs. So maybe it's time for you to start thinking about switching jobs. Uh, However, you could also say, you know what, we're going to start a side hustle. One of the things that's going to happen within the 10K project is the 10K project is a three-legged stool. We have our investors, which is hopefully all of you that will decide you want to be a part of the 10K project. So we have our investors, we have our entrepreneurs, and the third leg of that stool is the business support after funding. So these businesses, they raise $500,000, 700,000, $1 million. What happens to them at that time? Well, they're going to need additional people to help them reach new milestones, whether they need social media marketing help or a CPA to help them, or, even some administrative help. Some of us, or some of you, because I won't be able to do it as part owner of the platform, but some of you will be able to help these businesses and create great side hustles from this. Now, I can tell you within the 10K project, what's going to happen is the businesses that get funding are going to receive a resource listing from us based on the different things that they may need within their business. In the fall, we're going to let everybody know, whether you're an investor or an entrepreneur, how that resource list is put together and how people can participate in it, and how people can access it. So start thinking now. Start thinking now about that. How can I increase my income? One of the greatest ways you can increase your income is to reduce your taxes. How can you reduce your taxes? Let me go back again to showing you the cash flow quadrant here. One of the best ways you can decrease your taxes is moving to the right side of the quadrant. Become a business owner, become an investor. But in order to do that, you got to have a system, and you got to have people, and you got to have money that's working for you. So again, I'm not a tax professional. I am not a financial professional. I'm just, saying what I understand and what a lot of authors and financial experts put out there. So you definitely want to talk to your own accountant, your own financial professional, your own attorney, etc., in order to get the information that works for you. So again, I just wanted to come here, talk about that a little bit, kind of get your juices going here with regards to some ways that you can start thinking about your personal finance. We're going to have over the upcoming months deeper discussions about personal finance, about budgeting, about increasing income. If you're a member of the 10kproject.com, we're going to have our members only section that is opening up on Monday. You'll actually start receiving your invitations in the next couple of days. One of the books that we're reading and we're going to talk about is Family Wealth, Keeping It in the Family. And it's all about generational wealth. It's by James Hughes. We're going to talk about family banks. We're going to talk about, if you're a parent, getting your kids involved in the money discussion, whether they are young or whether they are teenagers or millennials. If you are in the sandwich generation like me, I'm 44, you may have parents that you need to talk to about this as well. Within the membership portion of the 10K project, we are going to have those discussions. So you may be asking, well, what is the 10K project? And what I'm going to do is just do a very, very quick presentation. Will only take, 3 minutes, just to show you what the 10K project is and invite you to become a member. So let me share my screen here. And it's very simple. 10K Project is a community of Black investors who fund Black businesses for as little as $100. Because our businesses are least likely to get the funding that we need to succeed. However, there was a Morgan Stanley report that came out a couple of years ago that said when our businesses are properly funded, we make just as much money as any other ethnic group out there. However, a lot of times we don't have rich uncle, rich aunt, fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, venture capitalists that we know, etc., to go and get the money from. But when 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We can start funding our own companies. We can profit from our own innovation. We can create our own jobs. So we're on every social platform at Black 10K Project. Whether you're looking on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Periscope, Instagram, go to Black 10K Project and at least start getting involved with what we're doing. Because we are building the largest network of Black people who want to invest in Black businesses. Because we can be the solution. This time tells us we can be the solution and we can earn return on investment for our businesses. So technically we're building a crowdfunding portal. Crowdfunding is very simple. It's a bunch of people getting together, putting in small amounts of money each in order to reach some sort of mission. So our mission is to fund our own businesses and profit from our own innovation. However, unlike a GoFundMe, which is also a crowdfunding portal, GoFundMe, you give money on that and you don't get any equity or any ownership in the business in return. With us, you would actually get ownership in the business, or you would be loaning the business money, and that person would pay you interest. Again, we can't guarantee return on investment, but that's the way it's going to work. We do require Securities and Exchange Commission approval. We've already hired our attorney, and we're going through that process right now. So how does the 10K Project work? It's very simple. You have membership. You can become a member for a one-time lifetime fee of $100 to become a member of the 10K Project. With membership, you get access to our culturally relevant investor education. We're going to talk about family banks. We're going to talk about generational wealth. We're going to talk about the disparity of our businesses versus other businesses and some of the strategic things that can be done outside of everybody just go out and purchase more things from Black businesses. Like, we're going to have more strategic discussions inside membership. Then once we get our SEC approval, we are going to start something called Bet on Black Pitches. So if you're familiar with Shark Tank, the entrepreneur will come to the entire community. This will be, live, done live. The entrepreneur will come to the entire community. They will say, give a presentation about their business. So they will talk about their, product or service. They will talk about how long they've been in business, how much money are they borrowing or asking for, how will they give us our money back, when will we get our money back. All of those things will be included in the Bet on Black pitches, and then you're able to ask the entrepreneur questions during that time. Then even after they've done that live pitch, by SEC law, we have to leave the portal open so that you can do your research and you can ask the entrepreneur additional questions. So that will happen on the portal. Then after the person has raised their funding, there will be business support that is provided to them if they choose to accept it. We are the funding portal. By law, we cannot force any businesses to accept this business support. However, the support that we will at least, give them access to is anything from they need help with social media marketing, they have a product they want to get on the Walmart shelves, they want to do business with within the government and they need help with government procurement. Anything like that will be available through that business support system. And then the final thing is the return on investment. So there are three major ways that a company can return funds to us as investors. They can go public. It's something called going public. That means that the business is put on the stock exchange or the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and those shares are sold on the stock exchange. That's one way we can get our money back. The second way we can get our money back is if the company is acquired, it's purchased. And you've heard of a lot of companies purchased for 30 million, 50 million, 100 million, etc. The third way is when the company does well, they may give us something called a dividend. A dividend is just simply a distribution. We've made a certain amount in profits and we're going to distribute a certain percentage of those profits back to our shareholders. At the 10K Project, we are home of the Everyday VC. And VC stands for venture capitalists. So Shark Tank, Damon John and Kevin O'Leary, they're VCs. Well, you know what? Now you are a VC too. You're an everyday VC. So again, I just want to reiterate that membership gets you a seat at the table. It gets you an opportunity to participate in our culturally relevant investor education and to hear the Bet on Black pitches. If you are not a member, you will not have access to the Bet on Black pitches. In order to become a member, go to the10kproject.com, the10kproject.com. You can get all the information there, see how it works, and when you feel comfortable, you are able to become a member. We're looking for our founding members. We already have about 250. We are looking for another 750. So once we have our first 1,000 people, those are going to be our founding members. So we have a few milestones coming up. The first one is membership is already open. On June 15th, we are opening up our members only area, and we have some great things coming up with that. In the summer and fall of 2020, we have our publicity tour. I have some announcements to make in the next 2 weeks about that. We have hired our publicist, and we've got some big things to announce about that. In the fall, our investor education is beginning, like our official investor education. We're going to start investor education actually this summer. But we have some more things happening in the fall. And in the fall, if you want to be an entrepreneur on our crowdfunding platform, we're going to release a guide to being considered for the platform. And then by spring 2021, we should have our SEC approval. By the grace of God, we will have our SEC approval. So the SEC says it takes 6 months. We have already begun filing our application. However, you know how the government is, so we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer room, a buffer time period. So if you want to become a founding member, again, it's the10kproject.com. You can also join us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope. We're at Black 10K Project on all of those platforms. And if you know of anybody who is like-minded that should be a part of what we're doing, please let us know. You can also email us at info@the10kproject.com if you have questions, if you have fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, a pastor who is very entrepreneurial, anybody like that, please introduce us to those individuals. So with that, that's my 30 minutes. I see people in here. So I will admit everything is just saying Facebook user right now on my screen here. But I want to thank everyone for being here. Let me see if I'm able to open this in the 10K project and see everyone's name here. Uh, I might not be able to do it. It doesn't look like it's showing it to me. So I apologize to everybody, but I do see your notes here. So somebody's saying I'm ready. Someone's saying, hey, hey, government contracts. Yes, this book was an eye-opener, great lessons. Absolutely. So we are about to change the game and we need your help. Come to the10kproject.com. You know, we're a community of Black investors who are funding Black businesses for as little as $100. We wanted to make it affordable for as many people as possible. We also know that through this community and through this ecosystem, we can do amazing things. So thank you so much to everybody for being here. If you have questions about the 10K project, please feel free to ask. Don't forget those lessons from The Richest Man in Babylon. The book is small, so I would suggest you read it. Also, The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki is great. We're going to have deeper discussions in the members only section of our ecosystem around that cash flow quadrant and some of the lessons we can learn. And ultimately, you know, I just want to see everyone succeed. So with that, I see Tracy here on YouTube. So I want to welcome everyone here and thank you so much. And, you know, please become a member. That is the greatest way that you can help us and you can help the community build that generational wealth that we're looking for. So God bless everyone. Have a great day. The10kproject.com. Bye, everybody.